All right. We got a little Christmas tunage going. Am I too loud? Is this okay? All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming. I know we didn't have we're missing quite a few, but that's all right. We're excited to have you guys here. We're excited to have Kyle Schertz with us, who obviously we're Modo Studios, and I've seen a few familiar faces, but some new ones as well. And Kyle is with Avalaunch Media. They're down the road in Lehigh. We work together and collaborate on projects with them from time to time, and they are pros in the ad spend game. They manage, I'll just say, millions and millions of dollars for big clients on YouTube, Google, and today we want to keep this informal, have fun. We'll do like 15-20 minutes of Kyle teaching us some just tricks of the trade with YouTube, analytics, and some just awesome stuff on YouTube paid media. And then we'll do like a 10-minute Q&A. Let's just have fun, ask questions, hopefully pick Kyle's brain a bit, and learn some concrete good stuff that you can use for your business or your freelance work or your agency you work in. So without further ado, we'll welcome Kyle.
Thank you. Appreciate it. How's everybody doing today? Happy Friday, virtual people. The food's really good. You missed out. So as Taylor said, I'm Kyle Schertz. I oversee the performance marketing team at Avalaunch Media. I've been in the marketing game for about 12 years now. The past 10 years have been specifically on advertising, because why wouldn't you want to just spend money all day as your job, right? It's a lot of fun. On a personal level, I've got a beautiful wife, 2 kids at home. Hobbies include fly fishing, golfing, gambling, digital businesses, all that fun stuff. Crypto, stocks, anything with risk, I'm all about it. I don't usually admit this in public, but I am also a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. Don't hate me. It's been a long, long life of watching them think we're going to be great and then just crumble at the end. So hopefully Micah Parsons can take us to the Super Bowl this year. But with that, I've always been fascinated with sports. Big sports fan. Since sports was started, pretty much, they've tracked statistics. And I can remember my dad coming home with the paper and the sports section, the actual paper that you actually opened up and read, newspaper, and looking at the stats from like the game the night before and looking at the metrics. And in sports, there's a lot of different data points that people looked at. And 15 years ago, those numbers were a lot different than what they are today. It used to look like points per game or completion percentage or this and that. And now they have stuff like PER, right? Like they have all these crazy stats on athletes and like how they perform. And there's actually a godfather that started this. Does anybody know who this is by raise of hand or shouting it out? Hunter knows. Anybody else know who this is? No? How about this guy? The ladies? You guys recognize this guy? This is Brad Pitt, obviously. Probably the best looking guy in the world. I'm a big Brad Pitt fan. But Brad Pitt portrayed a character, Billy Beane, is who that first guy was. And for those of you who don't know who Billy Beane is, Billy Beane was the athletic director for the Oakland Athletics. And he played baseball. He then kind of went up the ranks, started becoming the athletic director. And has anybody seen the movie Moneyball? Now that I say this, yes. So the title of the deck, Moneyball, right? Billy Beane, if you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. It's one of the best movies of all time. Billy Beane goes to a meeting where he's trying to make a deal with another GM, sorry. Shouldn't say athletic director, that's college. GM. So he's trying to make another deal, and there's this guy in the room portrayed by Jonah Hill, 22 Jump Street, another great movie. Watch that after Moneyball. And Jonah Hill, every time the guy's trying to make a deal, he looks over at Jonah Hill, and Jonah Hill will like shake his head. And he's like, after the meeting, he goes, "Why does that guy trust you?" He's like, well, because I know data. I went to Harvard, right? It's kind of funny how sports have changed, where there's actually Harvard business guys who probably suck at sports running the entire organization now because they know data. They know how to interpret it. And really, that's what we try to preach at Avalaunch, and what I want all of you to think about today is we have to look at the data differently. We have to think about how we can beat these platforms because they're taking away the metrics from us. And in Billy Beane's case, his whole beef was he worked for the Oakland A's. He didn't have the type of money that the New York Yankees had. So how was he supposed to win? Well, he had to get better than the Yankees, the Googles, the Facebooks, the TikToks of the world. We need to be smarter than them so that we can win, similarly to how Billy Beane was with the Oakland A's. A big metric that they talked about, and I'll talk about the biggest change. Apple basically ate Facebook's lunch a few years ago. If you guys remember, April 26th, 2021, probably the worst day in marketing history if you were in advertising. It was like you would do things that you used to do. A client would call you upset. Why is my business sucking? What did you do? And you're like, well, I'm just doing what I've always done. Like, I can't believe this is happening. iOS, you guys have all seen the alerts if you're an Apple person. They're saying, hey, this app is tracking you. Do you want that to keep happening? That's hard as an advertiser when you rely on the algorithm to know a lot of stuff about people that they no longer know about. And so we kind of got to go upstream a little bit, to use a fishing term, fly fishing term, where we need to be looking more at like the leading indicators. This is like Avalaunch. This was Facebook because it got hammered. And this talks more about YouTube because YouTube's better anyways. But if you look at everything that happened to us before and after iOS 14.5, you're probably shocked that I still have a job and I'm employed at Avalaunch Media. Revenue was down. Purchases were down, CPM was up, like it was just a bloodbath. Fortunately for me, that was just what Facebook was reporting. And actually, we saw tremendous growth as a business. 2021 was a great year for us. 2022 has been a great year as well. And we've really put a focus on the content and the creative. And that's how I feel like we've won. Let's go to here. A lot of you have probably seen a lot of technology issues, right? Meta's down, their stock is down. Even Google's stock is down, which last year it was up. Amazon had layoffs. Twitter has had layoffs. Twitter's been a dumpster fire and in the news everywhere. Facebook, everything is really struggling right now. And to me, this is an indicator that advertisers, marketers have forgotten what we need to focus on and what businesses need to focus on. Let's rewind a little bit. If you could not track a dime of your marketing spend, you had no idea how effective it was, what would you focus on? Just like think of that, rhetorical question. If you could not track anything, what would you focus on as a marketer? For me, the answer is simple. My creative, my content, and my experience on my website when people get there. That is the only thing that I would focus on, because I know the way to cut through the noise of the internet is really good messaging and content, and then a good experience, right? Customer service also. So that's kind of what Avalaunch thought as well. We wanted to get better with our creative. We wanted to emphasize that the experience on the website is really important. I like to call it the Amazon effect. People expect to swipe their thumb and a package shows up on their doorstep. Additionally, there are leading indicators that let you know. The beauty of this is, I said, what if we couldn't track anything? We can track still almost everything if you're looking at the right numbers. So I want you all to put on your Billy Beane hat, more your Jonah Hill hat, and think about how can we get people on base, right? If you guys, will pull you back into Moneyball, spoiler alert, sorry if you haven't seen it, but he's in a meeting, he's talking to all the scouts, and they're like, we can't get Hatterberg. Hatterberg's washed up, he sucks. And he just looks at Jonah Hill, he's like, why do we want Hatterberg? Because he gets on base, right? Getting on base percentage is statistically the way that you win in baseball, right? That's what they figured out. Now, for everybody's business here and in marketing, there's lots of different metrics that are going to matter. And frankly, it's probably different for your business than it is for your neighbor's business or somebody else's company. And so what really matters is establishing what is the metric that's going to matter the most to you. What is your on-base percentage for your company and for your marketing? For us, this is a list of like 8 of them that we like to track regularly to understand how effective our marketing is. So I'll go kind of one by one through here. Thumb stop ratio. What that is, it's a 3-second video view divided by an impression. Because 3 seconds is enough to know that somebody stopped their scroll to pay attention to what you were doing. That's pretty much applicable to all social media platforms that you can track this stat. Most commonly used on like Facebook. Additionally, it would be called view rate on YouTube. Statistical correlations. This one's going to be really important because this is going to tell you what metrics matter most to what every business cares about most, which is sales, revenue. Jaw drop ratio. This is somebody who was very engaged, like at least 15 seconds or more that they watched your content or video. View through conversions. YouTube does a great job of reporting on how many people viewed an ad, didn't even click on it, and they still bought on your site at some point or another. Assisted conversions, another metric that YouTube reports where you can see how much assist was given, kind of like the John Stockton, Utah Jazz, helping Karl Malone score points. Marketing efficiency rating, sometimes called MER. This is your top line sales divided by your marketing spend, right? You want that to be 4x or better, right? If you're looking at a P&L, it's like your marketing expenses, you want that to be 25% or less of your overall sales. Ad spend over revenue, that's the inverse of MER, like I just explained. And then see more rate. This is where you can actually see how many people clicked to see more on your post. It's more of a Facebook metric, and I can show you how to find that. Awesome. So statistical correlations. Fun fact about me, I almost failed statistics in college. When I was dating my wife, I had one class because I almost didn't get into business school. Don't judge me. I'm good now. I was just one of those guys that didn't see the value, right? I was just having fun, living my best life. But statistics have become the most important part of my job. Looking at numbers and making sure that they line up with marketing, that is how I've understood which metrics matter the most and how we can optimize. So this is a Google sheet. How we like to do it at Avalaunch, get daily numbers, monthly numbers, weekly numbers, it doesn't matter. Export your data from any of the ad platforms. Views, view rate. I would recommend getting as much of the metrics as you can into a spreadsheet. Line that up with your sales, your customers on site, your overall conversion rate, all of that. And then you can correlate that together. The formula is just Correl. Open that up, and then you highlight the 2 columns that you want to see if they're statistically significant, right? The closer that is to 1, the stronger the relation. So when I've run this report thousands of times. Every time I run it on customers who start spending on YouTube in particular, the correlation is always the strongest on YouTube spend to overall sales. That tells me YouTube works. Anybody remember Clash of Clans? Like the early 2000s, they just owned YouTube, right? I'll never forget them, thanks to YouTube. This is what that report can look like. And you can see very clearly where your top metrics are when it relates to your sales and your revenue. So you can tell, hey, website purchases. So if Facebook's reporting a purchase or Google's reporting a purchase, that's contributing to my revenue. Yeah, no brainer, right? You can also see clicks, cost, average cost per view. These are all metrics that have strong linear correlations to your overall sales and transactions. You can see that ROAS has a negative correlation, obviously, and even as your ROAS goes down, your purchases and revenue is probably going to go the opposite direction, and vice versa. So ROAS is just not a good indicator anymore on how you optimize, but that used to be the end-all be-all on how you optimized. In particular on YouTube, if you're optimizing for a ROAS, you are not going to be happy, because most customers, the rule of 7, right? 7 times before somebody makes a purchase, before you see your brand. YouTube's probably going to be the first time they ever see your brand or your company. So view through columns. This is another opportunity to create extra data into your Google Ads account. Any Google Ads advertisers in the room? Yes, perfect. Custom columns, we can go in and we can create what's called a view through purchase. So you go to edit your columns, add custom. What I will typically do is I will select all conversions, and then you can filter by the conversion action to just allow for purchase or whatever your main objective is, SQL, MQL. And then you can very clearly see that data in Google Ads. This is a look into Google Ads. If you look at the cost per conversion, it looks really bad, but when you actually add in, when you include view data from YouTube, you can see that it drops significantly. That one drops about 40%, that one drops 30%, that one drops 70%. Like, it really shows how impactful YouTube can be when you're optimizing your ad campaigns. Additionally, you can see revenue here. That's the if you look at just conversion value, that's just showing what click YouTube revenue, and then this is showing when somebody viewed the ad, didn't click on it, and then purchased. So, I mean, $2 versus $7,000. So if you're looking at the data wrong and you're thinking that, oh, YouTube only got me $2 in sales, and you turn that off, you're then going to see your ads and your website start struggling. Jumping into assisted conversions, this is more of a hidden metric that I like to show people in YouTube. So when you're in YouTube, you're in Google Ads, you can click on Tools and Settings, Attribution. You select which is your most prominent conversion action. If you want sales, then you want sales. If you want MQLs, go for MQLs. If you want SQLs, opportunities, whatever it is, it works for both lead gen and e-commerce. Look back 90 days, because if you're looking at 30 days, the sales cycle is longer than that in most cases, even for e-commerce. Like think about this. This is the first time anybody's ever heard about you. Do you guys impulse buy a lot? I kind of do. Do you impulse buy when it's a $100,000 purchase? I want your kind of money. So, especially if you're in generating leads or doing business-to-business advertising, you want to get this window as wide as you possibly can. Then you can see your click and view assists by network. I like to get this into a spreadsheet because I love spreadsheets and I'm a nerd that way. And then you can go ahead and add in your assist CPA, right? And you can see actually, if you include assist, meaning there was some form of assist made from these campaigns, you can calculate your CPA. So that YouTube campaign goes from a $959 cost per purchase. If you include clicks and views, $748. But if you include, if there was an assist, meaning at some point in that customer's journey, they saw a YouTube ad about you, which that's going to help, $65 to run YouTube ads to impact your business. That needs to make sense economically for your product or what it is. This particular product, it's a lifetime value play. They want to acquire customers for, under $500. And so showing that $65 contribution there is pretty impressive for YouTube. Highlight that. The last metric that really is the most important in my mind is any sort of advertising efforts, especially when your product is not searched for a lot and you have to generate demand. Anything you're doing should be viewed, your main KPI on marketing should be how fast are you growing as a business. Additionally, how much is it costing you to acquire customers? Marketing on a profit and loss statement does not show up in the income side of it, it shows up on the expense side of it. It is an expense and your payout is growth. And as long as that number is in a profitable range for your company, most companies that's 30, 25% or less, then your marketing is working if you are growing. And then last, I just love saying this, get your head out of your ROAS.
like that. That was a good.
Questions?
Yes, yes. Okay, so we are, first and foremost, thank you, Kyle. You're amazing. That was awesome. And I wanted to just, we got this microphone we'll throw around to people and just have some informal Q&A here. Pick Kyle's brain. Let's ask questions. I'll kick it off. Here, you might have to turn this on for me. If you pull that out, and then there's a power button on the inside. So, and we do have, we've got a YouTube audience here. We've got about 15, 20 people watching, and a couple questions, I think, there as well.
Perfect.
So
on YouTube too. That's great.
Yeah, on YouTube. Okay, I'll start it off, and then just fire away. We'll do like a 10-minute Q&A here with Kyle and ask any questions. Here was my question when I was listening. You are saying ROAS, you obviously get your head out of your ROAS, is not the end-all metric. What would you say, if I'm overwhelmed by all the, where to look, what metric to evaluate, what things should I be looking at? What would your top advice be for that?
If you're a business owner, growth percentage, and then how that advertising is contributing to your P&L. So like what percent is it costing you to acquire new customers, and then how fast are you growing? That's a bit of a lagging indicator, but those are the things that you should be looking at the most. So if you're testing something and you're running ads and you're like, I'm gonna spend $5,000 and see what happens. If your sales don't go up, that didn't work, right? Right. And so really seeing the growth in your overall sales volume.
Right. And how long, even us as Modo, you as Avalaunch, our studio space, obviously we're renting, we're running ads on that. How long do you usually recommend clients or businesses see it through before, because I obviously can't give up that first 30 days. How long do you usually sit until you say, okay, we need to make a change?
So it depends on your business. So think about your business for a minute. Does your business have a lot of demand already? So I'm thinking like plumbers, electricians, like people searching online that want to talk to you, right? If somebody's searching for you online, you probably should start seeing good results from marketing efforts a lot quicker, 30 to 60 days, okay? If your business is a brand new product, startup, nobody knows what it is, you've got to do a lot of education, you probably want like a 6 to 9 month roadmap, because you have to do what's called generate demand, right? You can't just capture the demand that's already out there. You've got to generate it, and that takes time. But by testing content, making good videos, really leaning into that, you can win, I would say 6, 9 months.
That's interesting.
So budget for that.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, I'm curious what you recommend there. Okay, you ready to throw that thing?
Yeah. Test, yeah.
Yeah, we got you.
I'll ask a question before I throw it,
yeah.
if that's okay. I know at the beginning you talked about, in 2021, Avalaunch, you shifted your focus to creative. If somebody in this room, they're just about to start their business and they don't know where to start with their own creative, do you have any suggestions or recommendations on where somebody could start? I don't know, obviously we're talking YouTube, but the level of creative or what type of creative, where has Avalaunch focused maybe would be a good place to start?
People like hearing normal people talk to them about their company. So creating content that seems like it is just your neighbor talking about a great product, and it gets to the point, right? TikTok has changed the way people consume content. YouTube has jumped on the bandwagon with shorts. So you've got like a few seconds to capture attention and a few seconds to educate people on why it's important. So if you can explain your product really quickly that way, have somebody do it yourself as a business owner, that's the type of stuff that I would invest in.
So you said a lot of what you're saying is get your head out of your ROAS, return on ad spend. Why is that not a good metric anymore? Like I'm not really versed with a lot of the current metrics, but return on ad spend sounds like it's something that would be good to look at. Why is it not?
It's still a good metric to look at. You still want to look at your ROAS, your CPL. I think if you really want to grow as a company, though, you've got to generate more demand, right? You have to create demand for your product. And if you think ROAS is going to be a goal to look at in YouTube, that's just the wrong answer. YouTube is going to be something that kind of introduces the product to you. The beauty of YouTube is it's like 5 cents max for somebody to watch 30 seconds or more of your video. And then they're in your funnel, so to say. You can retarget them, all of that. So if you're looking at YouTube like, oh, I need to look at my ROAS, you still should look at ROAS to some degree. But if you're looking to grow, these are the metrics that are going to help you do that.
Okay, and I guess a follow-up question to that. How are you, with the iOS 14.5, how are you able to track those metrics? Isn't it more difficult, or?
So that's the beauty of it, is that data is owned by the platforms. They can't take it away. Apple can't take it away from them. What happens when you go to ROAS is that's somebody going off Facebook's platform onto somebody else's platform. And if they're not wanting that to be tracked, they can't track it outside of just their own channel. So Facebook can still track you and see if you watch videos, but they can't track you when you make a purchase, so to say. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So that's what they took away. They took away the ability to see those purchases happen on a website.
You kind of touched on it in Hunter's question, but UCG content on YouTube,
Yeah.
it's like super popular obviously on TikTok and Instagram and Meta products and stuff like that. It doesn't seem to be doing the same on YouTube. Have
Yeah.
you guys tried that, tested that? What are your thoughts on UCG on YouTube?
We're fans of it. Yeah, we believe it works. We also believe YouTube has its place for more like production style videos. And if your brand has the budget to do so, I still recommend doing that because you don't know what you don't know. But this is a cheap way to get started and get your foot going. I'm thinking of a huge company that all they're doing is like UGC. Shields, anybody been on YouTube lately? Is Shields just targeting me? No. It's like every time I'm on Shields, hey, I'm down here with the golf shop, like I'll come get you fitted, you know, walking back in their showroom. So big companies are doing it too, and it seems to be working well.
Yeah, where are we going? God, all right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was impressive.
Sign this guy up. Moneyball.
All right, so we haven't started doing any YouTube ads yet, but I mean, would you say static ads on YouTube is dead? And I mean, what's kind of I mean, there's a big difference between, you know, video versus static, right? But I guess some industries don't really allow, or it's obviously more expensive to do video. What's your take on that?
I think YouTube is actually probably your best mobile display static placement of all time. Think about it. If you're on your phone and you go to YouTube and you've got the video above you, but then you have a banner ad right there across it, like that's pretty compelling. If you're targeting the right stuff, that's the beauty of YouTube. It's the second largest search engine, but it's also got a video component. So you can target keywords, you can target specific channels. Like if there's an influencer in your space that you believe your audience would love to watch, you can target their video. And they might say, oh, crazy, I didn't know this company was sponsored by them. They're not, but that's just how consumers think, right? They see an ad before that video and they kind of relate that to them. So I still think there's a play on static banner ads. You can play, it's part of Google Display Network, so you can play static ads on YouTube channels and videos.
And I don't know if you know the stat, but what's the stat on premium users to non-premium users, do you know?
I don't know, but I do know that you could spend $1 million a day on YouTube probably with all the non-premium and the content on there, so.
So my background's mostly in content creation, like video production and stuff. I graduated earlier this year in multimedia production, like just, that's kind of where I've always stayed. But I took an interview at a company a few months ago that was like an account management position, and it became apparent pretty quick that I was not ready for that type of position. They were asking me about like account management software, PPC and all that stuff, and when I read that you were doing this, I looked at Avalaunch just to kind of look at positions, and I saw a similar position there too. So I was just curious, like, what's a more entry, is there, like, do you just have to kind of research and learn that on your own? Like, should I go get a digital marketing master's degree? Is there an entry-level position that, like, would start us off at something more like that? If I wanted to kind of make that career change, does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
If I wanted to go more of a marketing direction instead of a content creation?
You know, it's a great question. There's a lot of resources online. There's a lot of courses you can take, etc. This guy right here, MTech, shouting him out, Brandon Anderson, he teaches a course. Their school is like a trade school, but for digital marketing and others, right?
Oh, cool.
So that's a good, we've hired a lot of MTech students at Avalaunch. But yeah, it's kind of learning, honestly, and fake it till you make it is a real thing. Like I said, I'm 10 years in advertising, and I still fake it till I make it a lot of times when I'm unsure of what's happening. So.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have to second the shout out. I don't want to bash Utah State here, but really cool program for, and there's just not a lot of people who teach hands-on learning for this type of stuff. So it's hard to find.
Their curriculum is more up to date than the four-year universities, which I'm an Aggie alum too, so it hurts me to say it.
And like I was just so focused on video production, content creation, that all that kind of went by the wayside.
But you can learn a lot too online. YouTube, you can check out. Google has a lot of resources to get certified in Google Ads and all that. Take it with a grain of salt. Their earnings are down, so they might recommend bad stuff. But
cool. Thank you.
Okay, I want to get one or two more, but we do have a YouTube question.
Okay.
From YouTube, about YouTube. You mentioned, I think this might not apply to every business, but tell us more about seeing your content 7 times before you buy something. The question was just, is that an average stat for customers who will convert?
It's even more now. That's just like what they used to say back in the days. There was some the reason why it's called that, I believe, is there was some movie that came out and they asked people on average how many times they saw their poster board, right? So this was like in the 20s or something. So they said it, the rule of 7. It's got to be more now. You think about all the content you see online. You think about the purchase decision. You think about all the things that have to happen. Not all of us are impulse buyers for $100,000. Sometimes we have to talk to our spouse or significant other to make those decisions. But there's word of mouth. There's me telling you about a product. And so the beauty of YouTube is the inexpensive nature of it to get a lot of engagement, right? It is getting people on base for the cheapest amount you can. If I could say that, in Moneyball, it's like they were paying low salaries because they were competing against the Yankees. They were paying low salaries to get old players who got on base. That's YouTube in a nutshell. It's getting good engaged users for less than 5 cents a view.
How much cheaper do you feel it is than the Meta platforms?
Meta, you can get 3-second video views, right? So 10 times less for 1 to 3 cents. So it's about 10 times less expensive is what I would say. And you think about a click, most businesses charge for, if you're doing search ads, you're going to pay for clicks. If you're a software company, you might pay $50. If you're a lawyer, you might pay $300 for a click. You don't know if that person's going to stay on your site. They could bounce immediately. Or you could pay 5 cents for 30 seconds of somebody's watch time, either on their phone or on their computer or whatever. So it's compelling.
Okay, well, I just 2 more minutes or so. Any other questions? Fire away. Pick Kyle's brain. YouTube, ads. One more. Here we go.
So we work in real estate, and so this is probably a 2-part question. One, because I know with Meta, you have, with real estate, you're a special ad category where you can't target certain demographics like age and sex and stuff like that. Is YouTube the same way?
Google search is, YouTube is, you can get away with it sometimes. I'm not going to say every time.
Yeah.
But.
And so is there a way around that? If you can't target that specifically, are you able to target maybe certain behaviors that maybe align with that age group, or how are we, because say we have a community or a neighborhood where we're trying to target 25 to 35-year-olds, but we can't put that directly in our ads. Is there ways around that? Are we targeting behaviors, or just kind of what's some options?
This is a hack that I would share. On Google, or on YouTube and Google Ads, there's what's called custom intent audiences, which you can basically take what people search for on Google's platform and then target them on YouTube. If there's something that you feel like describes a 25 to 35-year-old, what they would search versus what somebody older would search, you could try that. One example, we had a moving company, we still work with them. We targeted custom intent terminology for real estate agents, storage companies, because it's like, if you want storage, and utilities, if you're looking to set up utilities or you're looking to change your utilities, you're in that research mode, you also probably want a mover as well. And so complementary services, if it describes your demographic, stuff that only they would search for, like TikTok login might be safe right now. Get custom intent, target that, just things like that.
Okay. All right. Thanks everybody for coming. Round of applause for Kyle. Great job, Kyle. And yeah, this is fun. Hang out, grab some whatever we have left over there, coffee, drinks, and thanks again for coming.
Can I share one more hack,
Yes,
Taylor?
please.
Is that okay?
Of course.
So I was just thinking about this. There's a cool way to spy on your competition, on what they're doing on YouTube, which is kind of a new find from us. But does somebody have like a competitor that they want us to spy on, like real time?
I'll volunteer.
Modos?
I'll volunteer. I know there's people who used to work for this company too. Chamber Media.
Chamber Media, all right. Okay, so Chamber Media has an ad. I'm not going to click it if anybody from Chamber's on. I'm not going to cost you guys money. But you can click these 3 dots right here. They're only bidding.
Do you mind even showing me those dots? I want to see those dots again.
So these 3 dots right here.
Okay.
You can click this, and if they're running ads, it will show you down here, see more ads from this advertiser. So Chamber's only bidding on their brand name on Google. Any others? Let's just try this.
I know they do more meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, any other competition, real estate companies.
I'm just going to do online business degree. I used to work at WGU. So WGU, I can click here. This is where you see it, okay? So if they're running more ads, Ad Center, see more ads, you can click on this. It's going to take you to this page where you can see all the ads that WGU is running on search. You can also see their video ads and what they're running on YouTube. So just kind of a cool hack to be able to see what type of ads they're running on YouTube if you're looking for like ideas on ways to run ads, or if they're spending on it, odds are it's working to some degree, not all the time, but it's a good way to ideate on new ad ideas. So
that's cool. Yeah, I did.
The
not
end.
know that.
Sorry, I just wanted to show that.
All right, we're gonna do one more round of applause for Kyle. Thank you, and yeah, fun to have. This is we're getting up there, 15, 20 people watching live from YouTube. So thanks for joining us there.